WrestleMania 42 is happening, and everything you believe about WWE's championship landscape is about to change. On this episode of WWE Express, we're predicting not just who will win, but what those victories mean for the entire direction of professional wrestling's biggest annual event. WrestleMania isn't just about physical dominance. It's about narrative construction. It's about understanding that WWE spends weeks, sometimes months, building storylines that inevitably lead to championship moments. When you really study how WWE books their major events, you start noticing patterns. Champions begin showing vulnerability. Challengers receive consistent booking victories. Commentary starts planting seeds about potential changes. These aren't accidents. They're deliberate storytelling signals pointing toward outcomes. The undisputed WWE Championship match represents the main event space, and whoever emerges as champion carries the complete weight of WWE's credibility. This isn't just about athleticism. It's about presence, about psychological superiority, about convincing an audience that this wrestler has legitimately conquered their opponent. The psychology of championship wrestling says that the wrestler whose character arc has been most carefully constructed typically walks out with the championship. We've seen dominant reigns suddenly develop cracks. We've seen rising stars positioned with consistent victories, stronger promos, and commentary that treats them as viable threats. These signals almost always precede championship changes at WrestleMania. The World Heavyweight Championship operates in a different realm. While the undisputed champion embodies WWE's establishment, the World Heavyweight Champion often represents rebellion, fresh energy, or a veteran reasserting dominance. This championship typically goes to wrestlers whose narratives suggest they need something to prove or something to reclaim. At WrestleMania, the wrestlers positioned to win world titles are usually those whose personal stories have reached a crescendo. Women's wrestling has completely transformed WWE's championship picture, and WrestleMania 42 will feature women's matches that rival anything on the card. The Women's World Championship and Women's Undisputed Championship matches will be won by wrestlers whose character work has been refined across weeks of television. Women's wrestling storytelling involves incredible layering, personal vendettas, respect for the craft, legacy positioning, underdog narratives. The winners will be the wrestlers whose psychological presentation suggests they're ready to carry a brand forward. The mid-card titles, including the Intercontinental and United States Championships, go to wrestlers positioned as exceptional performers. These titles often crown wrestlers who are genuinely excellent in the ring, who deliver visually stunning matches, and who tell stories through physicality rather than just narrative exposition. At WrestleMania, these championships frequently change hands because they're held by wrestlers ready to elevate their positioning or veterans ready to prove they still belong in prominent spots. Tag team championships require understanding an entirely different psychology. Tag team wrestling is partnership wrestling. It demands timing, communication, and chemistry that reads as genuine rather than coincidental. The winning teams at WrestleMania are typically the ones whose partnership has been most convincingly portrayed on television. Whether it's faction-based teams demonstrating group dominance or unexpected partnerships showing surprising compatibility, the champions will be the teams that prove they understand this unique form of wrestling. The Judgment Day faction, if recent history indicates anything, will likely control significant championship presence. Rhea Ripley's involvement in any championship equation changes everything. Factions exist to create power structures, and when one faction controls multiple championships heading out of WrestleMania, that becomes the dominant storyline going forward. This is wrestling at its most strategic. It's about group psychology multiplying individual dominance. Generational warfare will almost certainly play a role at WrestleMania 42. Veterans defending against hungry rising talent, or established wrestlers finding new relevance through adapted approaches. These dynamics shape WrestleMania outcomes. The wrestlers winning championships will likely be those who prove they either haven't slowed down or who've discovered completely new ways to compete at the highest level. Championship wrestling demands that winners demonstrate they belong in elite company, and WrestleMania is where that legitimacy is established most emphatically. The Royal Rumble winner, if featured, will emerge through understanding pure wrestling strategy. 30 wrestlers with nothing protected, fighting for championship opportunity. The psychology isn't just physical combat. It's about knowing when to strike and when to retreat, about alliance formation and dissolution, about making the calculations that separate winners from participants. The Rumble winner at WrestleMania 42 will be the wrestler whose unexpected triumph feels narratively earned. What makes championship prediction at WrestleMania compelling is recognizing that WWE operates through a specific storytelling language. Wrestlers built with consistent victories, escalating promos, and commentary reinforcement are typically positioned for championship elevation. Champions showing vulnerability, questioning their own dominance, displaying defensive psychology. These signal that reigns might be ending. We understand these patterns because WWE has trained us to read them. Yet WrestleMania is famous for subverting expectations. Champions retain in shocking fashion. Underdog challengers pull upset victories that reshape entire storyline trajectories. Surprise winners and unexpected returns alter championship implications completely. This unpredictability is what makes WrestleMania the spectacle it is. The championship winners at WrestleMania 42 become the foundation for everything that follows. They're targets for new challengers. They're symbols of momentum carrying through the rest of the year. A WrestleMania victory isn't just winning one match. It's being elevated on wrestling's biggest platform, carrying that credibility forward into months of championship-level booking. What's crucial to understand about WrestleMania championship outcomes is that WWE evaluates them differently than most fans do. It's not about who would hypothetically win. It's about whose character arc has been structured to naturally lead toward elevation. It's about long-term booking strategy and recognizing when a wrestler's positioning indicates they're being groomed for greater things. Pay attention to details as WrestleMania approaches. Notice which wrestlers are protected. Observe whose promos are becoming more commanding, more confident. Watch whose opponents are being systematically positioned as secondary. These storytelling elements all point toward championship outcomes. The wrestlers winning at WrestleMania 42 will be determined by whose personal narrative has been constructed with the most deliberate purpose and the most careful care. If you want more analysis of WWE Championship psychology, storyline architecture, and wrestling narrative, subscribe to WWE Express, where we break down the stories behind the matches and celebrate professional wrestling as legitimate character-driven drama. Thanks for watching WWE Express.